Jess, where were you and the team when you found out where you were going, and what was the reaction?
We were at Buffalo Wild Wings. I think the reaction, there's a couple things. I think we thought it was going to be a different outcome. I think there was disappointment. There was a little bit of shock. I think when you go back and you look through our preseason schedule, we go to Texas and play Texas twice. We go to the Big Ten ACC Challenge, sweep Notre Dame and NC State. Go to LSU, beat LSU on their home field. Go to Fresno, who was a top 20 team last year, beat Fresno. Go up to Washington, go to Cal, go to Oregon State. I think it's a tough thing to swallow when you hear that schedule's not good enough, because I'm not quite sure what else we could have done in the preseason. But at the same time, that's all out of our control. And I think that it's by far not the biggest injustice done to anyone in the world yesterday, and life's not fair. So now we turn our attention to Louisiana Tech. We get back out on the field and we get ready.
How did you see your leaders handle it, particularly in the half an hour or 45 minutes
Yep.
after you got this news?
I mean, I don't think anybody's happy. But again, you can't control it, and life's not fair, and guess what? Everything that we want to do is still ahead of us. So I think it's really important. I mean, they're going to be a big piece of this and making sure that we understand that as a team. But, national seeds by a committee of people sitting in a room aside, we're still the number 2 team in the country. We're going into postseason play. So for us to be anything but excited doesn't make any sense.
Jessica, you mentioned your ranking. Why does your sport even have rankings?
You should ask someone else. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Yeah. Again, I just, that's out of our control. And as mad as I am about it, I think it's really, really important that we focus on, the goals that we set out as a team are still attainable, and we got to go get them.
So how do you handle that as a coach?
Yep.
Do you downplay it, or do you like that now there's a little bit of a chip on the team's shoulder?
Well, I mean, I think there's 2 of those things. You got to allow that to be a good thing. You can't allow that to be a distraction, because at this point, when you get into the postseason, no matter where you're playing or who you're playing, you've got a big enough elephant in front of you you're trying to eat. If you try to do some other stuff too, it's too much. So I think you take the chip on your shoulder, and I always like us a little bit more in the underdog role anyway, so I don't think that's a bad thing. But at the same time, postseason's hard, and it's going to be hard anywhere, and we're good. So we need to focus on ourselves and get ready for La Tech.
Have you talked to anyone on the committee? What do you think they could be thinking?
I don't know. I'm going to say that I don't know. Sticking with it. I think there's a time and a place for that, and I think that, Mark Coyle's been awesome. I know that I talked to him last night, and I know that he's reaching out and doing a little bit of digging. But again, that doesn't change anything. Just, even if they come back and they say, we're wrong, we're not doing a redo. We're going down, and we got to beat La Tech, and then we got to beat Alabama. So we got to really make sure that we keep the message on. We're still going into the field of 64, and everything that we want is ahead of us. And if we get sucked into everything else, our energy is not going to be where it needs to be. So we need to make sure that we are focused on controlling what we can. And we got to get ready to go down, and we got to get hydrated because it's going to be hot.
Did you go in with a preconceived idea roughly where you might end up?
Yes, and that's what they don't expect anything, right? Preconceived notions are bad. Yeah, I thought we had a chance to host a super regional. I thought we were going to be on the edge there. I thought the winning the tournament would put us over the edge. I thought there was 2 great wins against Illinois and Ohio State, who were both in the top 35 of the RPI. I thought that hosting a regional was a lock, and that we had a chance to host a super. But again, you don't get to control that.
You had other coaches reach out?
Lots, yeah. And that's great. It's not a bad thing. But again, I'm not going to let my energy get sucked up by that. We got to make sure that we worry about Gopher softball and getting ready.
One thing they mentioned on the selection show was top 10 RPI. It seems, like they maybe just picked one thing to talk about, but do you think that, as it's been explained to you, has that come up?
Well, the RPI is a tricky animal, right? So you make your schedule, and then it's just a formula. So depending on how different people do or how one pitcher feels on any given day changes the whole thing. So I think to, on one side, say we don't have top 10 wins, and so now you're giving the RPI credit, and then in the other breath say, but this formula we care so much about that has you at 12, we don't care about it there. and then go back to strength of schedule, which we already got dinged at because we had the best winning percentage in the country, and that took us down to 12. Like, that logic doesn't make sense to me. But again, I can't control it, and I still like our chances. I can tell you this much. We're going to be ready after we're playing down there in Alabama. It's going to be a big stadium, and we got a lot of work to do, and it's going to be a fun atmosphere, and we're going to be ready afterwards.
How do you think your non-conference schedule has prepared you for what you will face?
We've played in a lot of stadiums, and a lot of great stadiums in front of a lot of great crowds. So when you're talking about playing at Texas, you're talking about playing at LSU, you're talking about playing at Washington. I mean, Fresno State's got one of the best crowds in the country. And then just this conference tournament at Michigan. So I think our team will be ready. It's going to be a big atmosphere, which is awesome. I think actually we shine bright in that situation. And so it's going to be fun. It's a fun place to play. And being on the road, it's nothing new to us. So we'll be ready.
When you think about how far you've taken this program, are you concerned at all about how, like, a moment like this would impact recruiting, in the sense that it's hard to do much better than 54-3, and that's how they viewed it nationally?
I hope every softball player in the upper Midwest says we're going to prove them wrong. And I'm going to come to Minnesota and we're going to prove them wrong.
Last night was going to be a celebration in terms of all that you accomplished.
Well, it still is. I mean, we
Yeah.
just won the Big Ten tournament title. It's a big deal. And for our girls to feel anything but excited right now is wrong.
Whoever wants to, maybe Sydney, but how you reacted when you saw that on what you were expecting, and when you saw it on the screen, did it digest right away?
Yeah, I think it took a little bit. Definitely a little bit of disappointment. But, looking back, we can't change it, like Coach Allister said. So we got to turn all our focus to going to Alabama this weekend.
And what was the immediate aftermath? Like, how did you guys, was there a quick player meeting, or, to make sure you were kind of framing it the right way?
Yeah, no, we talked as a team after, and we just kind of, had to digest what just happened. Obviously, we had different expectations going in, but I think we got together as a team and kind of just said we have to turn our focus on going down to Alabama this weekend. We can't control anything that has happened in the past. We can just work towards getting ready for this weekend.
Kendyl, how motivated is this? I mean, as if you weren't already, but like for what you want to do in this tournament?
I'd say we do have a chip on our shoulder, and that's a big thing for us. We've always been the underdog, and we still are now. So I think we play best being the underdog, and that's just huge for us. And we have a lot of motivation right now, and we're just going to take that to Alabama.
What have been some of the friends and people's text messages you're getting, and I'm sure Twitter and stuff, just what people are saying about it?
I think the coolest thing is that a lot of people are rooting for us. No one saw this coming, and we can't do anything about it, but we have people all over that are excited to go watch us play down in Alabama, and I think just kind of remembering that and using that to help us, focus one game at a time and take care of business down there.
You guys mentioned being disappointed. Was any part of you angry last night, just with the way it went down?
Yeah, there was a lot of, roller coasters of emotions that happened in the last 24 hours. We were pumped. We just won the Big Ten tournament at Michigan. We played great all weekend, and thinking that one thing's going to happen, then it doesn't. Obviously it's hard, but we just kind of have to get our minds in the right mindset.
So which emotion have you settled on the roller coaster? At this point on Monday morning, where are you?
I think we're excited to go to Alabama. We still get to play softball and do what we love with teammates that we love. I don't think this changes anything that we've done this season, so just going into this weekend, I know we're excited.
Maddie, somebody nationally might not recognize it, but what have they lost by not playing at Minnesota like it, at your home stadium? What are people missing if they haven't seen it there?
I mean, I think we have the best fans in the country. I love playing at home, and I love getting to play in front of all of our friends and family, but I still get another season to do that, a couple more seasons to do that, so that's exciting. So now we just focus on getting to go to a beautiful stadium down in Alabama and taking care of business there.
Kendyl, Coach kind of mentioned it, but you guys were on the road for, felt like 100 games at the beginning of the year. I mean, how much does that prepare you for what you're about to go through at the end of the week?
I think that's huge. Especially this season, we've been great on the road. So I think that just also builds up our confidence going to Alabama, and I think that's great for us. The start of the season, we didn't have any home games just because of the weather, so we should be doing great down in Alabama. It's just really going to help us. I think it's really prepared us for what's to come.
Kendyl, you started to get pitched around a bit, sort of like you did in high school. How was your high school experience preparing for what you're doing now?
Just knowing what the strike zone is, not chasing pitches. But I think it's great, though, because any way I can get on base, it helps my team, and that's just one step closer to winning.
And certainly you have enough depth in the lineup that if they choose not to pitch you, there are plenty more people behind you that can do the job, right?
Yeah, that's the great thing about our team. Everyone can hit. So if you do walk one of us, there's just 8 other players behind me or anyone that can just come up and hit us in.
Is there like a SEC Big Ten situation here too, where like, I mean, if it was so heavy SEC and there's no Big Ten teams seated, is there something that on a conference level needs to be evaluated here? Anybody?
I mean, I think that that's a conversation to be had after the season. You know, again, I think to get caught up in that at this point in time, you're taking energy away from the task at hand. The task at hand is we are still competing for a national championship. We can't ask for anything more. So I think those are conversations to be had after the season. That's my job. But the most important thing for the team is to keep the minds where it needs to be and continue to gotta beat La Tech on Friday. All that matters, gotta beat La Tech.
On the show last night, they kind of dropped the bomb early. Your name came up right off the bat. Can you describe what the room was like when all of a sudden there's no number in front of our name here?
I mean, it was kind of silent. I think I didn't even know. I thought it was like fake. I thought, I didn't really know what was happening. But like I said, we just kind of, mad, sad, angry, whatever. But, we took a couple minutes to digest it and then tried to find ways to move on.
Time for a couple more.
What seed when you were heading into last night did you think you were going to get?
8, I don't know.
We weren't
Or regional.
I mean, we weren't really sure, but like Maddie said, at this point, it's over with, so we just have to move on. We just have to focus on what's ahead of us, and that's all that matters right now.
You guys mentioned kind of getting together as a team and talking, pushing the focus ahead. Was there anybody in particular that led that conversation in the room last night?
Coach Allister called it. So, it was a good place for us to all just kind of be together and get away from everything that was going on outside of, the 20 of us that are, in Gopher softball. So it's just a good way for us to kind of just talk about things and, like we've said, just get ready for this weekend, get ready for beating La Tech on Friday.
Did you call them together again this morning? Or?
We're going to get together to practice. 1:30, back at it.
Coach, Maddie, she kind of took a different route to major in college softball, so playing mostly high school, not much like the club. So I guess as a college coach, how do you evaluate a player who doesn't play as much like in the club season? And how do you, I guess, when you see somebody like Maddie in high school, how do you know that she's good?
Well, if you can play softball, you can play softball. It doesn't matter where you're playing softball or who you're playing it against. I mean, if you hit like Maddie and you run like Maddie and you work as hard as Maddie, you're going to be a great softball player. And I think people get caught up in who you're playing against. It doesn't matter. What matters is how good you are. And Maddie Houlihan's good.
How do you find a player like Maddie then who maybe isn't playing as much as you would?
Well, I mean, she was in the Star Tribune about every month, all through high school, hitting about 800. So that was hard to miss. But just within different local camps and, coming to camps and clinics, and, she was no secret around the Twin Cities. I mean, if you go back and look up her high school career, it's one of the best ones that's ever happened here in Minnesota.
Time for one more, if there is. Awesome, thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.